The World That Outlawed Magic, Chapter 4.
The High Examiner did not call for the guards. He knew they would find nothing. Instead, he closed the black book, replaced the broken seal as best he could, and stood in silence. For decades, he had enforced the Edict of Iron without hesitation. He had ordered arrests, burnings of hidden archives, and the destruction of relics whose creators had been dead for centuries. He had believed those acts necessary. Now, he understood a truth his predecessors had carried alone. The Inquisition had never been hunting magic. It had been buying time.
By dawn, every chapter house across the continent received the same order. Leave the hidden mages alive. The message contained no explanation. Many inquisitors assumed it was a cipher. Some obeyed. Others ignored it. The unity that had defined the order for 6 centuries fractured before the sun reached its highest point.
Elian fled the city before noon. The whisper guided him through forgotten alleys and abandoned aqueducts until the walls disappeared behind rolling hills. Only when they reached the ruins of an ancient observatory did the voice speak again. This place remembers.
The observatory had no roof. Its great brass telescope had long since rusted away. Yet carved into the circular floor was a pattern of interlocking rings unlike any language Elian had ever seen. The moment he stepped onto the center stone, the carvings glowed. Not with light, with memory. The air filled with translucent figures, men and women in robes, armor, simple work clothes, mages, farmers, children, artisans. An entire civilization preserved as echoes. One woman stepped forward. Unlike the others, she looked directly at Elian. "You hear us?" He nodded. "Who are you?" She smiled sadly. "My name no longer matters." She raised a hand, and the vision around him shifted.
He saw the sundering as it had truly happened. Not an act of conquest, not an accident of arrogance. Beneath the world had slept a vast consciousness, born with the planet itself, older than oceans, older than mountains. Humanity had discovered its presence and learned to draw tiny threads of its power. For thousands of years, the balance held. Then, kingdoms demanded more. Wars grew larger. The ancient consciousness stirred. When it awoke, reality bent around it. The greatest mages sacrificed themselves to lull it back to sleep. The null pillars became the final seal.
They blamed us. They blamed everyone who practiced magic. They blamed fear, the woman replied. Fear survives longer than understanding. Can it be stopped again? No. His heart sank. Then we're doomed. She shook her head. No, only changed.
Deep beneath the world, the crystal prison dissolved into shimmering dust. The ancient presence rose, not as a monster, not as a god with blazing eyes, but as awareness, spreading through stone, rivers, forests, and sky. Every living person stopped what they were doing. For one breath, every mind touched another. Enemies remembered shared grief. Strangers glimpsed each other's hopes. Kings felt the hunger of peasants. Children saw memories of the elderly. For a single instant, no thought belonged to only one person. Then the connection faded. No cities fell. No mountains shattered. The sleeper had awakened, but it did not seek destruction. It simply remembered the world from before humanity had divided itself into isolated minds.
Magic returned, quietly. Seeds sprouted overnight. Broken bones knit together when held by loving hands. Artists painted colors no one had seen before. Engineers discovered machines that worked, because mathematics and magic were no longer enemies. Not everyone welcomed the change. Some kingdoms tried to rebuild the old bands. Others embraced the new age. Conflicts remained. Human nature had not vanished. But the age of fear had ended.
The Null Pillars slowly crumbled over the following years. No one rebuilt them. Instead, their black stones became monuments. Children climbed them, while their teachers explained why they had once existed. Not as symbols of evil defeated, but as reminders of a desperate choice made by frightened ancestors.
The Inquisition dissolved. Some of its members retired in shame. Others dedicated their lives to preserving the true history they had once concealed. The High Examiner resigned his office on the final day of the Order's existence. Before disappearing into obscurity, he deposited the Black Book in a public library where anyone could read it. The first page was left unchanged. Its last page, however, contained a new entry in fresh ink. No truth remains hidden forever. Fear built the prison. Memory opened the door. The future belongs to those willing to learn both.
Years later, travelers spoke of an old observatory where a teacher held classes beneath the stars. His students came from every kingdom. Some could shape fire, some could heal, some possessed no magic at all. All were welcome. When they asked their teacher whether magic was a gift or a danger, he always gave the same answer. It is neither. He would point upward, where the stars shone with a clarity unseen for centuries. It is a language. Like any language, it can build, destroy, reveal, or deceive. What matters is not that it exists, but that we understand it. The students would look to the sky, then to one another, and continue learning. In a world that had finally chosen understanding over fear. The Old Age had ended, not with a final battle, but with the quiet acceptance that truth, however long buried, was stronger than any prohibition.